Hey there everyone, Molly here and welcome back to Savoring the Magic. It is just me today, but we will do the best we can in Jonathan's absence. So it seemed like the perfect time to come back to Magic Kingdom and to explore another Disney legend who is listed here on a window on Main Street. So come along with me on this excursion. So the window we're looking at today is actually right above the confectionery here on Main Street. And it's right up here and it says manuscripts and melodramas. There are three different names listed, FX Atencio, Albertino, and Marty Scalar. But today we are focusing on the one and only X Atencio. So before we get into the contributions that made X a Disney legend, let's give a little bit about his background. We're gonna go find a shaded spot to do that. This is probably not the first time you'll hear that. And here we go. So Xavier Atencio, affectionately known to his friends as X, was born in Walsenburg, Colorado in September of 1919. He moved to Los Angeles in 1937 to go to the Chouinard Art Institute. X was known to be a shy but talented artist, so his instructors gently prodded him to submit his portfolio to the Walt Disney Studios. He did not do that immediately, not feeling confident that the studio would accept him. However, a year later, in 1938, X did end up submitting his portfolio to the studio and was hired as an in-betweener. In fact, he'd love to tell the story that after he got the job, he ran all the way from the Hyperion studio back to his aunt's house yelling, "I got a job at Disney, I got a job at Disney." So he began as an in-betweener for animated shorts. This job entailed producing the drawings between previously completed key poses in order to complete the illusion of movement and action. It was commonly an entry-level role in the animation department. X first saw his work debut on the big screen in 1940 with the premiere of Pinocchio. He ended up being promoted to an assistant animator for Fantasia later that year, but then he temporarily left the studio to be in the Army Air Corps. He was primarily stationed in England on an RAF base in photo intelligence. He returned to the studio in 1945 following World War II's conclusion, and he was able to pick up where he left off. In fact, he would work in the studio for another 8 years working purely on animated projects. X's first screen credit was for Toot, Whistle, Plunk, and Boom in 1953, an Oscar-winning film that related to the history of music. He worked on Jack and Old Mac, which was released in 1956. He worked on the I'm No Fool series for the original Mickey Mouse Club, which gave him a crash course in story experience and layout experience. During that time, X was also a part of the trio with Bill Justice and Tee that was involved in the stop motion animation used in the short Noah's Ark in 1959 and a symposium on popular songs in 1962, both of which were Academy Award nominees. Although X admitted that he did not have the patience for stop motion that his counterparts did, he continued to work on different projects involving it for several years. He and Bill Justice animated the opening titles for 1961's The Parent Trap. They worked on 1961's Babes in Toyland, and they worked on the nursery sequence for 1964's Mary Poppins. In fact, X kind of loved to tell the story that in the nursery sequence we see toy soldiers. Those toy soldiers were the same ones used in Babes in Toyland. In 1965, though, a big change came to X's world whenever Walt Disney requested that he transfer to WED Enterprises to work on the Primeval World diorama for Disneyland. X kind of did so grudgingly in the beginning, not super fond of giving up his nice, comfortable studio office for a desk made of plywood and a couple of sawhorses, which is what WED was like. However, he did soon come to appreciate the close-knit feeling within WED, and it reminded him of the old days at the Hyperion studio. Like most Imagineers have shared at one point or another, most of them did not know what they were supposed to be working on whenever they got there. X was no different, although one day he did get a call from Walt, and Walt informed X that he wanted him to start working on the script for Pirates of the Caribbean. X had never scripted anything before, but Walt seemed to know that he was capable of it. X wrote the auctioneer scene and sent it over to Walt, whose response was, "That's fine, keep going." After he finished the script, X told Walt that they should have a song to go with the attraction. He had an idea for a lyric and a melody, which he recited to Walt. He fully expected Walt to tell him, "Great, take it to the Sherman Brothers," and that is not at all what happened. Instead, Walt told him, "That's great, get George Bruns to do the music." And that's the story of how Atencio first became a songwriter at Disney. In fact, his first big contribution to the parks in that way was Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me, just one of the most iconic attraction songs. So while this song originally debuted with Disneyland's version of Pirates, let's go write it here and go enjoy X's first contribution to the theme parks.
Stop!
Speak up, or bring a fancy a swing with a game control. Your feathers, dearies. Show your fluff.
Yes, that's good.
Anchor now, you swabbies. What may I offer for these hearty heads? Everyone an egg layer.
Not lest they be laying golden eggs.
Belay there, you bilge rat.
Quit your clucking. The gentleman wants the room.
They'll never find the treasures without a look at this here map. The key to the treasure. Easy. Here I be, holding the treasure map and the key as well. What I wouldn't give to see the look on Captain Taxley's face.
Come on now, dear.
You know this song, Parrot?
Always do love a ride on Pirates. And fun fact, X actually originally voiced the Jolly Roger at the top of the first waterfall at the one in Disneyland. So just a fun little thing to know, but let's go find a shaded spot maybe, and then talk a little bit more about X. So shortly after the work had finished on Pirates, Walt, of course, unexpectedly passed away. That was a hit to the company, and it also was a hit to X as well. X had worked closely with Walt for many years, and he kind of remembered that time as a lot of friends and family sending him condolences, like someone from his own family had passed away. And he said that it did feel like that, it felt like a father figure was gone from his life. In the aftermath of Walt's death, Dick Irvine and Marty Sklar tapped X to work on the next WED project, the Haunted Mansion. Like with Pirates, Imagineers Claude Coates and Mark Davis had already decided on the continuity and layout of the ride. It was now up to X to figure out what should be said. Although this time it might have been a tad bit easier since he didn't have to contend with the pirates' dialogue. It was just straight narration with a kind of spooky mindset. This time X was paired with Buddy Baker. Originally, when the two did the music for different scenes, like the graveyard scene, they ended up with a cacophony of sound because each vignette had its own little musical element. Buddy finally decided that they needed to have a unified song to run throughout the entire attraction, and that is exactly how Grim Grinning Ghost came to be. Since our Haunted Mansion was created in tandem with the one in Disneyland, let's go walk over there now and go enjoy one of X's greatest songwriting accomplishments, as it were, and just an iconic song. I think we can all agree.
Your cadaverous pallor betrays an aura of tranquility, almost as though to sense a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room truly stretching, or is it your imagination? And consider this dismaying observation. This chamber has no windows and no doors. Which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out.
We'll do this and make it all like hand in hand too.
Of course, there's always my way. Spirits are frightfully sensitive to bright lights. Our library is well stocked with priceless first editions, only ghost stories, and marble busts of the greatest ghost writers the literary world has ever known. They have all retired here to the Haunted Mansion. Actually, we have 999 happy haunts here. But there's room for 1,000. Any volunteers? If you should decide to join us, final arrangements may be made at the end of the tour. Listen.
It's time to respond. Send us a message from somewhere beyond. goblins and ghoulies from last Halloween. Awaken the spirits with your tambourine. Creepy and cries, toads in a pond. Let there be music from regions beyond. Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing a bell. Do us good. Here comes the
Close your eyes and don't try to.
Ah, there you are. And just in time. There's a little matter I forgot to mention. Beware of hitchhiking ghosts. They have selected you to fill our cooler, and they'll haunt you until you return.
Wow, I got a beard. Oh well, I did. Admittedly, do always love that ride and just always struck by the cleverness of the lyrics. Of course, of grinning ghosts, but also just the whole ride in general, which X gets credit for. All of that, in fact. So now that we have ridden and enjoyed, let's go wrap this up. Following his work on Grinning Ghost, X continued to work on multiple projects across Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Tokyo Disneyland. For Tokyo, he supervised the audio recordings for the Haunted Mansion there. For Disneyland, he worked on Adventure Through Inner Space. In Magic Kingdom, he worked on If You Had Wings, as well as Space Mountain. And in Epcot, he worked on Spaceship Earth, World of Motion, and the Mexico Pavilion. X was known for his enthusiasm, collaborative attitude, and his winning sense of humor among Imagineering. X was known to say that his biggest reward was always the audience's reactions. X retired in 1984, but he stayed on as a consultant for Walt Disney Imagineering for many years after the fact. He always stated that he didn't know he could write music, and he credited Walt with discovering his hidden talents. He was inducted as a Disney legend in 1996. He passed away in 2017 at the age of 98, but X's works are still bringing joy to Disney visitors today. So I know it's been a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed this installment of the Main Street Windows series. Did you know all this about Atencio? Comment and let us know, and let us know if there are any other specific names that you'd like us to cover next. As always, we have new videos coming out every week. If you aren't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along. But until next time, keep savoring the magic.